The middle class in the United States has been seeing a steady decline throughout the last half-century as a direct result of the growing income gap between the wealthiest and poorest households. Hey guys, and welcome back to our channel. In this video, we are going to talk about the middle class and how the recent events are against everything the middle class stands for. Make sure you watch the complete video to understand what is going on, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and leave a like. Now let's begin. According to a recent study conducted by the Pew Research Center, the percentage of total household income that is owned by those in the middle class has significantly decreased since 1970, which has the effect of squeezing those in the middle class who make up the majority of the population. In an interview with Yahoo Finance, Isabel Sawhill, a senior researcher at the Brookings Institution, said that the middle class has been barely keeping up. In other words, their earnings after accounting for inflation, taxes, and government benefits have increased somewhat, but not much, and the fact that they haven't had much of an increase in their salaries for over 4 decades tells you a lot, because ordinarily, we'd anticipate that the incomes of the middle-class people throughout that period would grow quite a little. The term middle class might mean different things to different people, but the researchers at Pew defined it as an annual household income that was between 2/3 and double the national median income in 2020, taking into consideration the size of the family. Simply put, a middle-class family of 3 has an annual income of between $52,000 and $156,000. Since 1970, there has been a consistent increase in family earnings overall. Nevertheless, the majority of those increases have been concentrated among those with higher incomes. Incomes increased at a rate that was significantly quicker for homes with higher incomes, or 69%, than those with middle-income households, or 50%, and households with lower incomes, or 45%. The gap between the classes has also become wider. In 1970, the median income of households in the highest income bracket was 6.3 times that of households in the lower income bracket, and 2.2 times that of households in the middle income bracket. By the year 2020, it had reached a level that was 7.3 times more than the median income of the lower class and 2.4 times bigger than the median income of the middle class. In an interview, Rakesh Kochar, a senior researcher at the Pew Research Center, said that the finding is emblematic of this long-running trend towards greater inequality in the United States. We notice a declining middle class and a shift in income to upper-income households, the author writes, and all these factors have fitted into what we observe as the weakening of unions and the effect of globalization, he said. Kochar further stated that economic disparity has been a discontinuing development every decade from 1970 to 2010. The percentage of people who fall into the middle class has remained relatively stable throughout the past decade, making it the first such decade on record. Since 1970, the percentage of total household income in the United States that is owned by those in the middle class has continuously decreased. The percentage of total income that is owned by households in the middle class in the United States has been steadily declining due to factors such as the increasing income gap and the contraction of the middle class. The proportion of individuals living in homes with median incomes as a fraction of total income was 62% in 1970, but is projected to fall to 42% by 2020. In the meantime, the percentage of the total income that is contributed to by households with higher incomes has been continuously increasing, going from 29% in 1970 to 50% in 2020. A portion of this rise can be attributed to the growing proportion of people who belong to higher income brackets. Even though a greater number of individuals were included in the category of lower income families throughout this period, their percentage of the total income earned in the United States as a whole decreased from 10% to 8% during these 5 decades. The percentage of individuals who are classified as having upper middle or higher incomes rose from 14% in 1971 to 21% in 2021, which is an increase of 7 percentage points. In the meantime, the percentage of people who fall into the lower income bracket rose from 25% to 29%, an increase of 4 percentage points. This resulted in an overall increase of 3 percentage points in the adult's net income status when taken into account. From 1971 to 2021, those aged 65 and older made the most significant headway in terms of moving up the economic ladder. They boosted their share in the higher income tier while simultaneously decreasing their proportion in the lower income tier, which resulted in a gain of 25 points overall for the company. It is probable that a rise in labor market participation, improving educational levels, and the role that Social Security benefits played in decreasing poverty were the driving forces behind the progress seen among persons aged 65 and older. On the other hand, the lack of a bachelor's degree was associated with a sizable amount of economic backward movement throughout this period. Adults whose highest level of education is a high school diploma or less, as well as those who have attended some college but do not have a degree, have seen significant rises in their proportions of the lower income tier over the previous 5 decades. Even though there was not a single adult education category that made any progress up the income ladder between 1971 and 2021, adults as a whole saw gains when they increased their degree of education. In 1971, just 11% of persons aged 25 and older had finished at least 4 years of college. By 2021, this percentage had increased to 38%. In 1971, this number was only 11%. The rate at which a demographic group advances up the income ladder is not always indicative of the group's current economic situation compared to that of other groups at a particular moment in time. For instance, in 2021, persons aged 65 and older, as well as Black adults, continued to have a higher likelihood of having a lower income than many other categories, and a lower likelihood of having a middle or upper income. The percentage of persons aged 65 and older who were classified as having a low income dropped from 54% in 1971 to 37% in 2021. Their percentage of those in the middle class went from 39% to 47%, while their percentage of those in the higher income tier rose from 7% to 16%. However, people aged 65 and older are the only age group in which more than 1/3 of individuals live in lower income households. Additionally, persons aged 65 and older have a much lower likelihood of being in the upper income tier compared to adults aged 30 to 44 and adults aged 45 to 64. In every other age group, there was a rise in the proportion of individuals with a low income and a fall in the proportion of those with a moderate income between 1971 and 2021. However, they also saw an increase in the proportion of those with higher incomes. For example, the percentage of persons in the age range of 30 to 44 who lived in homes with an upper income almost doubled between 1971 and 2021, going from 12% to 21%. Comparatively, just 16% or fewer of individuals who did not have a bachelor's degree were in the upper income tier in the year 2021, but 39% of people who had earned at least a bachelor's degree were in that category. From 1971 to 2021, the percentage of individuals in the upper income tier who held at least a bachelor's degree increased slightly, while the percentage of adults who did not hold a bachelor's degree either decreased slightly or remained the same. In the year 2021, the middle class consisted of around half or slightly more than half of all adults who had either some college education or a high school diploma alone. However, those belonging to these two categories, as well as those with an education level of less than a high school diploma, saw significant decreases in the percentage of their population that was classified as middle class between 1971 and 2021, while the percentage of their population that was classified as low income saw significant increases during the same period. In 2021, over 40% of persons who had only a high school education or its equivalent, 39%, were in the lower income category. This figure is approximately twice as high as the percentage that existed in 1971. So, that is it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Give a thumbs up if you liked it. We will see you in the next one.